While this final season continues to slay with Sybil's past finally revealed and a huge twist that changes everything we thought we knew. Hey guys, here for the Vampire Diaries, Season 8, Episode 4, An Attorney in Misery, and holy shit, what an episode. I mean, I was definitely really looking forward to this episode based on the way the past 3 episodes have been, but especially the way last week's episode left off. I was very interested in seeing what was going to end up happening. You know, did Damon really kill Tyler? Did that really happen? Turns out that was the least interesting thing about this episode, because while that was very interesting, this was by far the best episode of the season. I loved everything going on this episode. I thought that, you know, like I said, we really did get deep into Sybil's past, and we had a huge twist that I don't really know where exactly they're going with, but overall I'm definitely interested in seeing. But let's just get into this episode, because I really did love it. I think this season is just really killing it so far, and fuck anything I said about last season, because at this point, this is when I already was starting to get bored, and now I'm loving this season. But let's just get into it, because I really do love where this season is headed. Now, we actually start in 750 BC, when a little girl is asking her sister to tell her a story, and she tells her the story of the village that was one built on the very spot they lay, and in this village was a man named Arcadius, known as Cade to many of his friends. He was a gentle, kind, and loving, respected man, and I will say, some of the Vampire Diaries has always done really well are flashbacks, particularly ones that are very, very long ago, and this is the perfect example of that. We see the Cade could do things that no one else could. He could read people's minds, the very first psychic, which gave him much empathy towards others, kind of like what Sybil can do. Sybil can do that really well. You know, if she just finds out about someone, she can tap into their mind and basically put them under her control. And it was his powers that cost him his life. Cade was trying to convince a man of power that his urges of pedophilia were impure, and he gave Cade a chance. He may be able to help him stop. He overstepped, and the village, including his friends, stoned him, and then they burned him to death. So it was that moment he realized that even he couldn't cure true evil. The little girl says she asked for a happy story. Her older sister explained it was happy because Cade got his revenge, and so will they. And overall, I thought that was very interesting the way they set that up. We don't really know what this is about, but you know it's foreshadowing something with Sybil, so I thought that was interesting. But the episode then returns to present day, where Stefan is woken up by his phone ring. It's Caroline, and Caroline tells him that just because she stayed with Bonnie, she doesn't mean he couldn't have slept at home. He tells her he stayed at the armory to give them some space. They talk about Bonnie getting Enzo to turn his humanity switch back on, and Stefan reassures her that if anyone can do it, Bonnie can. Bonnie can be the one that if she can get Enzo to do it, he feels there's no doubt she will get Damon to do it. Damon's a little bit harder to budge, though, because his humanity switch is turned off, and he's a little bit deeper into Sybil's mind control, definitely. So it's not going to be as easy, I think, as Stefan thinks. But Alaric and Seven then plan to begin their project with Sybil when Alaric's intern, Georgie, walks in, demanding to help them with the woman they have tied in the basement. She says she was only joking, but Alaric tells Stefan he can only deal with one temptress at a time. And Stefan admits that he hasn't heard from Damon in a while, and it really is starting to worry him. The fact that they haven't really kept in contact is not something that Stefan's used to, and you definitely do see that while he has given up, he still cares for Damon, and I really love seeing that. So, believe it or not, Damon and Enzo, they're in this episode, but they do have stuff to do. Most of this episode is them listening to Sybil's story. This is a very exposition-filled episode, but I feel like it was definitely worth all the exposition to get to the twist. And Damon shows up at an auto shop looking for a man named Pete. Damon says that Sybil's the one looking for him. Lou starts to feel leery about Damon when he admits he would kill for Sybil, and Lou tries to walk away, saying that Pete should be back soon. Now, we don't know who Pete is, but Damon compels him and asks him what is the worst thing he has ever done. Lou admits that he murdered one of his 5 wives, and Damon pours gasoline all over Lou, then tells him to go back to work. He sets himself on fire, and then Damon leaves. Really crazy stuff there, but Stefan and Alaric then bring the tuning fork to Sybil so they can get answers about how to save Damon, because they know that something about this tuning fork is connected to Sybil, and somehow it subdues her. They don't know what it is, though. Now, Sybil's a little bit upset that they're not interested in her story, but she tells them anyway, and I like that they're the ones to listen to her story and not Damon and Enzo. You know, they're not really under her control. She's starting to put them under her control, but they're not under her control yet. And she tells them a similar story to the one at the beginning of the show, where in a small Mediterranean village, a young girl came of age, had a psychic ability, a trait that had always been forbidden. Her fate was to be put on a raft that left her on a small desert island, but she wasn't alone. She met the girl on the island and exiled together. They became sisters and eventually known as the Sirens. And the second she started telling some like, okay, one of those girls is definitely Sybil. Sybil's a siren. We know she's from long ago. It just kind of makes sense. And she says she understands Stefan's desire to save his brother because his sister will do anything for her as well. And it's at that moment that Stefan and Alaric then realize there is two of them, that there are two sirens that they're dealing with, but we don't know who the second is. And that was a very interesting twist that we noticed. And it makes sense too, because Sybil is not good just on her own. We've already seen that. I'm not going to say Sybil sucks. That's not the word, because she definitely doesn't suck. But Sybil is, in fact, not nearly as strong on her own, without some help. And you definitely see that she has gotten help, in this in this scenario, and I like seeing that overall. I like seeing that Sybil isn't doing it all on her own. I was going to complain that Sybil's too easy to subdue, but I like that we're seeing that she's actually gotten help, and it makes her that much stronger. And basically, Alaric wants to know more, but she tells them all the mist says sirens meaning more than one, and they should be smarter than that. And yeah, that's true. I mean, that's what a siren means. And Stefan asks who she is. Sybil promises they will know soon enough, and meanwhile, Georgie breaks into Alaric's house, and they basically make you think that Georgie is the second sister. That's what I thought was going to happen, but before she can do anything, and it would make sense, too. I mean, why would Georgie be working with Alaric all this time? It had to be Georgie, but she tells her if she moves, she's calling the police. So, Seline is there. They argue as Georgie holds the old journal with the symbols in it. Seline says she's going to call Alaric Rick, and Georgie warns her not to do it. And when Peter returns to his auto body shop, he's greeted by Damon. So, overall, I thought that was very interesting, that where this twist was going. Again, we thought that Georgie was the second sister, but we'll get into that in a little bit. So when Peter returns to his auto body shop, he's greeted by Damon. Damon stops him from using his phone. He tells him that he actually can't kill him yet. And he asks Pete if he knows who Sybil is. And when he says he doesn't know who she is, Damon says he's going to try to help him find the Maxwell family heirloom that Sybil needs. He says the only family he has is his son, but his grandmother left him a box he never opened, but his son was looking for it. And Damon orders him to bring his son to the shop. We don't know really where that's going, but a large call from Seline and has to leave. Then we don't know what this is all about. I'm assuming, I thought that it was going to be about, how Georgie broke in or whatever. And Stefan says that stays behind to talk more to Sybil. She tells them about how the girls used to call boats and to save them. Sybil said the girl who was already living there knew what would happen. The ships would crash into the rocks, but their provisions would wash up on the shore and they would survive with that. So as Sybil cried for the sailors who died, but the old sister told her that those were men from their village who intend to kill them anyways, and Sybil swore she would never do it again, but the sister always did. She tells Stefan that their families are the same, their stories are the same, just which girl is Sybil, basically. That's the question. We don't know which one is her. So Damon and P continue to look for the heirloom that Sybil's looking for, and when Damon asks P to toss over the watch he's wearing, it burns Damon's hand because there's verbane on it, and Damon then stabs P, telling him that he should know what happens to liars. Matt shoots Damon and calls Pete dad, so now we know who Pete's son really is. It's actually Matt, and I complained the last episode that I didn't want to see Matt come back in this episode, but I thought it was cool to see him come back so early. I thought they used him well enough in this episode that I wasn't too upset that we had Matt back here. I thought overall they used him, they're definitely using him more than they did last season. The last season he seemed kind of irrelevant to me. They tried to do stuff with him, but they couldn't figure out really what they wanted to do. But now it seems like they do know where they're headed with him, so I like where they're going so far. Right now, I do. I mean, if they continue to do what they did with him last season, maybe I'll get annoyed, but for right now, I'm liking that Matt's back. I like what we see of him so far, so Matt tells Pete he will explain later. He orders him to drink Damon's blood. He asks his dad why Damon was there, and when Pete asks him how he knows Damon, Matt tells him to trust him and go to the truck because he doesn't want to see what is going to happen next. So Pete walks out of the shop, and I like that at this point Matt wants nothing to do with Damon. That's completely understandable. As we know, Damon killed someone that Matt really cared about, Penny. He killed Penny, and this is something that Matt is still not over, and he also knows what's happened to Damon, and he's left town for a reason. I think the only reason that Matt's back, we don't really know why Matt's back at this point. That's the thing that I don't really understand. Why Matt's back. He got away from the town. We don't really know why he's back, but I don't know if it's because he wants to get rid of Damon, but we'll have to see. Seline then calls Alaric to tell the story about how the sisters would eat the men to stay alive. She asks again which girl Stefan is, and Stefan says that Damon is his brother and all is forgiven between them. Sybil says clearly he has overestimated his brother and says that she has underestimated her sister. So you see that they're very much the same kind of person, and I like seeing that here. Stefan gets stabbed in his spine by Georgie, and I thought that was very interesting. But the next time you see Stefan, he's on an island, and Sybil calls him a sailor. She says that they are sharing minds, and his fork is no longer ringing. She says to come walk with her. Her boss would like to see him because he believes that Stefan is worthy of hearing the whole story. Sybil said that when she was younger, that she had no idea she was eating sailors. Stefan figures that she is the village girl and not the island girl. Now, she admits that she tried very hard to be the good one. And I like that we saw that. I like that Sybil is not completely bad. Like, she did what she could to be good. And Stefan says that he has no sympathy for her. She again asks him which siren is a spirit animal. Dame wakes up. He's still in the shop with Matt. He taunts Matt, saying that they both know he isn't capable of killing him. Matt says that it worked for Damon, so maybe he should really give it a shot. And Damon tells him he turned his humanity off. Matt says he doesn't care about his drama and stabs him with a wooden stake. So it seems like he's back to kill Damon at this point. And Matt says he wants to know why Damon's trying to kill his father. Damon tells Matt if he doesn't play along, his father will die. Matt tells him if he were to do that to Elena, would never forgive him. Damon informs that he's no longer with Elena, is actually seeing someone new, as we know that, of course, is Sybil. Sybil, is trying to make him forget about Elena, and Damon continues to tell Matt that he ripped into Tyler's throat last night and left him to die in the trunk of the car at the border. So Matt says if he killed Tyler, he will kill him, and he leaves. And remember that Matt said that, because that is very important when we get to the end of this episode, which I definitely do want to get into. I like that we still don't know what happened to Tyler, that we don't know if Tyler is dead or not. They're just they built this up actually really well. It's something I thought we were going to get right away, but I like that we didn't get it till when we did a little bit later, but I'll get into that. But anyway, Alark starts to record his final words to the ones that he loved. He begins by telling them that he believes that Georgie is actually the second siren, and that's ironic that Georgie is the one, that taught him how to travel through the mysterious tunnels, which, again, is pretty smart. I mean, the fact that Georgie, we know, something is definitely, that Georgie's been working with him all this time, it makes sense. And he stabs a knife in his ears to make himself deaf. So Sybil continues to tell Stefan the story of her life on the island. Her sister arrives. It's actually not Georgie, though. In a surprising twist, it's actually Seline, we find out, is her sister. And I really like this overall. We knew next to nothing about Seline, so the fact that Seline was Sybil's sister, it actually really does make sense. And Georgie calls Seline, tells her that Alark is trapped and wants to know why she made her do that. Seline tells her to pull over. When she gets there, she will explain everything. So you know that Seline has something up her sleeve. You don't know what it is, but the girls ask for a bedtime story. Seline tells them they cannot tell their parents about it. She begins to tell them the story of Arcadius, or Cade, and Damon slides his chair across the shop, manages to find the relic that he was looking for. He says Sybil will be happy to see it. And meanwhile, and it seems like I said, at this point, he's kind of full on controlled by Sybil, and Stefan then begs Sybil to get out of his head so he can warn Alark. He wakes up, he can't remember what she told him, and she taunts him that is frustrating. He asks her why she stayed. She says she wants to know if he is an island girl or a village girl, which again, he's not answering. And the whole episode he doesn't answer this, and the real question is, which one is he? He doesn't know yet. And we see that he begins to walk away. She begs him to answer, and it is important. Is he the victim who tried not to feed on human blood for years, only for his selfish brother to rip into town and ruin it all, or is he the monster who forced his brother to turn into a vampire? They don't really know which one he is, and ruin it all, or is he the monster who forced his brother to turn into a vampire and doomed him to an eternity of misery because he didn't want to be alone, which I don't think she's wrong about. I mean, the fact that, he turned Damon into a vampire, yeah, he kind of wants someone by his side, and it makes sense, definitely. I mean, we've always gone through this whole thing of, a lot of the season Damon has been against Stefan because he turned him into a vampire, and it made him miserable. He's had to live all of this time, on Earth, as never being able to age or anything like that, because of, what ended up happening to Stefan and everything. Overall, that was very interesting what we saw there. I really did like that overall. Where we're headed with that, I think, is definitely very interesting. I like the way that they're really getting into Stefan and Damon overall. But Stefan says that is old history. She tells him that he would be surprised how fresh that is in Damon's mind. Stefan answers her by saying that he's both. She then says that she was wrong about him, that he is ready to hear the truth, and she tells him that once she knew what her sister had done, she had thrown herself off the cliff hoping to die and actually have forgiveness, but God never answered her. Only Cade did. That's how Cade ties into all this. Now, you knew that Cade tied into this somehow, and Seline said that Cade was supposed to be dead. He told her that he was, and when Seline asked for him to save Sybil, he says it will cost her. She made the deal. They received immortality, beauty, and youth if only they served him by feeding on the flesh of others to keep them beautiful, and he gets to collect the souls of the wicked in hell. So Stefan asks her who and what Cade is, and Sybil tells him that he is the answer to all his problems. That is, if he wants to save his brother, he needs to kill the devil, and that's the only way he's going to be able to save them. So it seems that Cade Cade is in fact the devil, and that's how Cade fits in all this, which that in general I find extremely interesting. We see that Stefan doesn't believe her, but he insists that none of it exists, hell or the devil, but Sybil brings up a good point that if he believed in vampires before he fell in love with one and became one himself, he didn't believe in them. But, he can't suspend his disbelief. If vampires are out there, then yeah, there are devils out there. These are facts, whether he wants to believe in them or not. She assures him that there's a man named Cade, and when people he loved damned him, he finally saw them for monsters they really were and damned them to one place, and it doesn't matter if he calls it hell or not. Cade is there, he feeds on the souls of the damned, and he is there waiting for Stefan, and Stefan tells her to stop making this about him. He's trying to find his brother, and Sybil says it is about him, a fate befitting the famous Ripper of Monterey, and Stefan shakes his head, said that was 100 years ago. Sybil says it's a stain that stays on his soul, and it will stay that way. Stefan then says that it's not Damon's fault. He made him who he is, so if it is Stefan's fault, damn him. And I like the fact that Stefan is blaming himself for this, because really it is his fault. I like that he knows that it's his fault, and I like seeing that overall. So Sybil, he vowed to serve Cade for eternity, then experienced another second in that kind of torment, and Stefan is set for the same fate because he's just as doomed as Damon is, which that I found, again, very interesting. The fact that we know this now, that definitely Stefan's doomed and everything, it definitely makes me think that that wedding that's going to happen between Caroline and Stefan is not happening. I think for definitely that's not going to happen. Just the fact that she said that he's doomed, it's somehow tied to that wedding. But I don't think we're really going to get into that till we get to said wedding. But we'll have to see. Alaric then finds his way out of the tunnels, but he has no idea where he is. Matt is driving his father around. He's explaining all about Mystic Falls, and Matt explains how he was keeping his father safe with the watch. His dad then tells him something his great-grandmother used to say about drinking a glass of vervain every day to keep vampires away, and Pete apologized for leaving Matt behind in Mystic Falls. Matt tells him that they should all have left that town when they had their chance, and that's why he's there. It seems like he's there to get his dad out of Mystic Falls, because he knows what Mystic Falls can do to someone that's human. That's why Matt's always been inconvenienced, and they arrive at the car where Damon said he left Tyler. He finds him dead in the trunk of the car, and finally we see Tyler is in fact dead. Matt's breaking down. His dad's holding him. It's really sad to see, honestly. I was very sad to see Tyler go, but again, I really do give it to the show. They have real balls to kill off a huge character like Tyler. Tyler is in fact a fan favorite. Tyler's been there since day one, so I can't believe they actually did kill him off, but it makes sense why. I mean, after everything that Damon's been through, he's now killed Tyler, and Matt is definitely coming after Damon now. I mean, definitely there's going to be a whole fight there, and I am so into where this is going. I can't wait to see what happens with that, but Seline meets Georgie at the side of the road, and after humming, she asks Georgie where her sister Sybil is. This scene was incredible. Georgie tells her that Sybil told her to piss off. She doesn't need her help. Seline tells her she tried, but she's sorry that she needs to kill the messenger. She then tells her the girl she killed in that car accident a few years ago was actually a deal breaker, and to send Kate her regards, so you definitely get the sense that the person that Georgie killed was in fact related to Seline, and she snaps her neck, kills her, and the episode ends with Georgie watching Seline eat her body. She's sucked into the sky, asking what is happening. We don't really know what happens with that, and that is the way the episode ends. Really cool stuff overall, guys, but let's just get into this episode and where I think the rest of the season is going to go, because now we really have set up the official plot of the show. So, really, this, I think, was the game-changing episode of the season. There was a lot of stuff going down in this episode, and now we know really what Sybil's overall goal is. Sybil is not really the worst one. It's more that she's been forced to be the worst one, because she's realized that she's just as damned as Seline. And if that's true with Damon and Stefan, I find that to be very interesting. If Sybil and Seline relate to Stefan and Damon as much as Sybil says they do, that in itself, I think, is very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing if that really is true. Do they really have that connection, or is that just Sybil trying to put Stefan under her control? I don't really know. But either way, Stefan's got to kill Cade. I mean, Stefan's definitely got to do something about Cade, even if he doesn't feel he needs to. If he wants to save Damon, I think he should probably, kill Cade. And if Cade is the devil here, I think that's also very interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing where that's going to go. And it seems that they're actually about to introduce the devil, which that is insane. If the show is actually about to do that, I can't wait to see where they go with that, and hopefully I don't mess that up, because it's such a there's so much they can do with that, and I hope that they set up really well. What is going on with Georgie? I have no idea. I thought that she just killed Georgie, but clearly there's more that Seline is going to do with Georgie. We don't really know what that's all about, if Georgie's going to hell, if she's going to confront Cade. I don't really know, but definitely something is going on with Georgie. We'll have to see what's going to happen with that. I think that's going to be very interesting. And now Matt's back, and I think Matt coming back was something I was a little bit skeptical about, but I love the reason why he's back. He seems that he's there to get the remaining people that he cares about out of Mystic Falls that aren't vampires. If they're vampires, there's really nothing he can do about it. They're in Mystic Falls. That's where vampires should be. There's no humans that really, he doesn't want humans to be there because it's just not safe. And Pete is one of those last people that he wants to get out of there. But he also wants to do what he can to get rid of Damon. And now that he knows that Tyler's dead, there's definitely going to be a fight between these two that I am definitely looking forward to. The showdown here. I mean, there's so much that could go down. Matt does have kind of the upper hand, you see. And I like seeing that. I like that Matt and Bonnie, characters who are human, seem to prevail over the supernatural. They're starting to get smart. They're starting to figure out how to fight the supernatural. I mean, they've known the supernatural for so long that they don't really need to think about it. They can just do it. They know what can kill a supernatural. You know, he knows that Verbane weakens a vampire. You know, he knows the garlic weakens a... He knows all that stuff. He knows what they do. He knows they need daylight rings. So there's so much he can do with Damon, and this is a short fight for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing where Matt versus Damon ends up going. I am so into this, and definitely that's going to be very interesting to see is where that's all going to go. As far as, like Sybil said, you know, Stefan being just as doomed as Damon, like I said, I think that definitely is connected to the wedding in some way. I don't really know how, but definitely something is going to happen there with that wedding. I don't think the wedding is going to go as planned, but we'll have to see. I think that's going to be very interesting. I really did get into the story of Sybil and Seline. I thought overall it was a very interesting story. It wasn't too complicated either. You know, you could just see that Sybil very much cared about her sister, but her sister was too far gone, so she was too far gone, and that's why Sybil is who she is today. I think that's overall very interesting. Now, what is this heirloom that she really wants? What is that really all about? We don't really know. We know that Damon is giving it to her, but we don't know why Sybil specifically wants it, and that's something that I'm definitely interested in getting into, is why does she really need this heirloom? Because at this point, we don't really know, but we'll have to see. But either way, guys, I'm officially caught up to the Vampire Diaries. Very happy to see that. I was very happy to watch these 3 episodes, and I like where the show is going so far. I really am loving this final season. I feel like if they keep the momentum up, this is going to be a really strong final season. Let me know what you guys thought of this episode, though. Love to your thoughts on it. Do you like where the twist is going? Did you like what's going to happen to Georgie? Where do you think Georgie is going? Is Sybil telling the truth to Stefan, or is she just trying to control him and get him into her mind and manipulate him like she has to Damon and Enzo, which there was like no Enzo in this episode. But either way, guys, in my review, let me know what you guys thought of this episode. Love your thoughts on it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for a movie review, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.